Objection!
Overruled.
Hey guys, welcome to Objection Overruled. I hope you liked that new intro. I've got a few people at the end I'd like to shout out for helping me make that happen. But first, I'm not going to spend too much time on this idiot because he just doesn't deserve any more of our time. But Horner's new mugshot was very entertaining to me. Look at there. Nope, I lost it. Hold on. They wasted no time. I mean, look at this guy. He's even creepier than he was before, which I did not think was possible. Let's hurry up and get him off of here. But for just a second, I do want to talk about this guy. This is the Wise County District Attorney, James Staten. And I tell you what, I was waiting for this big, mic drop moment in his closings because I feel like he's brought that every single time he did a cross-examination, right? I would be so infuriated with these defense attorneys and the things they were saying. And they would spend, forever on their direct, and he would just shut them down in a matter of seconds. And I just thought that was great. And then when his closing came, I was like, this is going to be epic. And it was, don't get me wrong, just not quite in the way I thought it was going to be. If you were watching, he got interrupted first by a juror. At first, the juror acted like, maybe he could wait. And then a few minutes later, he's telling the judge, no, gotta go. So they have a 5-6 minute break. We come back and he starts again, and this defense attorney just keeps objecting and interrupting him, and you're thinking, my gosh, what is your problem? But then this picture that you see it's heartbreaking. It really is. But he gets these boots out, and he bangs them on the courter's table, and I don't think anyone had anything else to say. He reminded them of the marks that those shoes left on that poor little girl's face. And it was effective. It was really effective because it was just a little over 2 hours later. The defendant was sentenced to death. He'll have an automatic appeal. Texas has kind of tried to put an express lane in, express checkout, should we say, with their death row inmates. So he won't be hanging around as long as you see in other states. He'll be out of here. And I think we can all breathe a little easier for that. But I wanted to talk about him because he was a phenomenal lawyer. He didn't waver in his quest to get justice, and I think he did Athena and her family well. And I cannot believe that we are still going to be talking about this guy. Do you all know who I'm talking about? South Carolina. Some people called him Alex. Some people called him Alec. Some people called him Alec. Let's see, there was MURDAUGH. Any way you say his name, we're thinking that this man right here, he might be getting a new trial. All of that drama that happened with Becky Hill, and then we had Justice Toll, who heard from the jurors. There were 11 out of the 12 that said no, what she said had no effect on me. But then there was one that was like, yeah, I heard what she said, and it did sway my opinion. And Justice Toll still pretty much shut it down, and made a ruling that day. And the Supreme Court is not happy about it. They're not happy about several things. They don't like how much of the financial crimes were allowed in. And I don't think anybody here or who would be watching this channel would not know this guy or what happened. But just a quick recap. He had stole millions and millions and millions of dollars from his clients. So he would do these lawsuits. They would get in car accidents or other disasters, what have you, and he would come in and sue and get these big settlements and pocket the majority of the money. So he had been found out. It was coming to a head. His firm figured out what he had done, and things were about to go sideways. Now, while this is going on, his youngest son was in a boating accident. He was driving the boat. He was intoxicated, and he had friends on that boat with him. A couple were injured, and one lost her life. That was another whole fiasco. I mean, he's showing up to this hospital with a badge. He's trying to control the crime scene. His family been solicitors for 100 years, right? So, from what I've heard and what the world has heard, they pretty much ran that part of South Carolina. If you and even there's a video when this boat crash happened, and one of his friends said, "Nothing's gonna happen to him, man. You know who his dad is? Alec Murdaugh." Like he just knew. So he was being sued. Alec was being sued. He knew that his son was drinking. He allowed him to drive the boat. There was going to be a wrongful death suit. He's already in all this financial trouble. And then his youngest son, that had been in that boat crash, and his wife were killed on his property. He had lied and lied and lied and lied, saying that he was not at that property. He had been at his mom and dad's, which he had, just has times a little wrong, and said that he hadn't been there, down where they were with the dogs at these barns. Well, it just so happened that his youngest son was dog sitting a friend's dog, and he was in the middle of sending a video because there was something wrong with the dog's tail. And you can hear Alec in the background say, "Buster, let it go," or something. No, it wasn't Buster. Anyways, a dog had a chicken in its mouth, or a guinea. And when the prosecutors put the witnesses on the stand, every time they'd say, "Did you hear this audio?" They'd play the audio. Whose voice was that? Well, it's Alec Murdaugh. And these aren't people, from around the bend or the ones that he's done wrong. These are people who know him, who spent time with him, who saw him every day. A big part of this case has been Eric Bland. Now, if you followed this case, you know who Eric Bland is. I watched, I think, 3 interviews with him this morning. He was on Nancy Grace, a couple others. Matt Johnson interviewed him. Eric's a rock star. He represented 6 of the jurors in the Becky Hill case where all that controversy was. He represented 6 of Alec Murdaugh's financial victims who he had stole so much money from. And I want to say he got them $14 million in total. And that's pretty amazing. They still think that a lot of that money he took is hidden somewhere. He claimed that he was this big time drug user. And I mean, look, anytime you thought this case cannot possibly take one more left turn, here it would come. He had a cousin Alec Murdaugh had a cousin who he had shoot him to fake this, hit or whatever. I mean, look, I'm getting tired thinking about it. It was just a mess. And Eric Bland was not afraid. He did not back down. He is in South Carolina where people either love or fear Murdaugh. Like, it was one side or the other. And Eric Bland came in like a white knight for some people and just really went to town to make sure he was going to help any way he could to get this conviction. And now we're looking, and he could get the new trial. Now, it won't matter because, I mean, it matters obviously for the victims. I don't want to sound insensitive, but because of the financial crimes, he's not leaving prison. I think there's 2 sentences in that one. I'd have to look back. It's been a hot minute. But even if one ended, by the age he was when he would get transferred for the other one, he ain't going to live that long, okay? Like, none of us are. So he's staying in prison. I think it'd be a huge waste of taxpayer money to redo this. I don't know why we would. Now, I did heard someone else asked Eric Land that on the interview that I watched, and he said that I think he doesn't want to be known as a murderer. I think that's all this is. And he does have a huge ego. He's a narcissist, so that makes perfect sense. We will see what happens. So that is all I have for you guys tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I do want to say thank you very much, real quick, to Professor Rusty. He helped me so much with this intro video. My husband Josh, he was trying to help me, and we were having a really hard time with it. I reached out to Deland. I'll link his channel below. If you love woodworking at all, you've got to go watch these guys. We all have a great time. When I'm not knee deep in a trowel or acting like a lawyer, I love to do laser engraving and stuff like that. So that's the whole other side of this. But I did want to thank those guys, and I will see you guys next time.